Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson,
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
and today we'll be talking about Lilies of the Field from 1963, which got one win on five nominations at the 36th Academy Awards. That one win went to Sidney Poitier, rest in peace, for Best Actor in a Lead Role. He became the first African American to win that award and opened up a whole new door that people never really thought was going to be opened. If you're listening to this on Sunday today, it is February 6th. Exactly 1 month ago, Sidney passed away. He was 94 years old, lived a long, long life, and is undoubtedly one of the most important people in Hollywood to ever exist. You and I have taken it upon ourselves over the past year or so on this show to just kind of seek out his work, really check out what he's got going on. And this is our first time seeing Lilies of the Field. So what'd you think?
I liked it. It was cute. I didn't expect it to be kind of a dramedy. I thought it was funny at times. I liked the way it handled like race and religion. It was just about people. I liked that. Is it Sidney's best work? Is it an Oscar-winning performance? I don't know about that. I think he's been better in the other films I've seen, but it is subjective. I'm sure, there are people out there who think this is his definitive film, and I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, that's fair. He's good. I told you before we started recording, it wasn't a performance or a movie that changed me or anything, but I'm glad I've seen it. It was solid. There's some really cool moments in it. I love the moments where he's singing. Sidney's just kind of got a really cool range to him. He was nominated a few years prior for The Defiant Ones. For Best Actor in a Lead Role. And then he got this win for Lilies of the Field. Then he got an honorary award about 20 years ago. I think you and I are in the same boat where his stuff as, fucking Mr. Tibbs in The Heat of the Night is much better. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He's really good in that movie as well. So, it's still a work in progress. You and I, our kind of relationship with him as a performer, I really want to see A Raisin in the Sun. I'd love to see A Patch of Blue, 1965. I'd love to see Edge of the City from 1957. There's a lot of stuff, that's kind of on my list. And it's thanks to this show in particular that kind of pushed me to really seek his stuff out and kind of give it a re-examination.
Yeah, this is, I had never seen his work before we started this show, but he's a name I always knew about. And I always, I knew they call me Mr. Tibbs. I knew about that, but I never actually watched it. And I was like, this is No, wait. I did watch In the Heat of the Night prior to the show. I just didn't have anything to reinforce it.
Yeah.
And you need that for some of these classic films. You need the experience to really appreciate the full range of the work. And I'm glad that we've kind of built our own reinforcement with this.
Yeah. We've done that with Humphrey Bogart, Burt Lancaster, Katharine Hepburn, Ingrid Bergman. All these legendary performers. And Sidney's right in that mix. He's just massively important. And of course, the elephant in the room is that it's crazy that 36 ceremonies in is when finally a African American was nominated and won Best Actor in a Lead Role. Really crazy. He had a nomination for Defiant Ones, pretty decent role, but never a win. And that's just kind of wild to think about. What's even more wild to me is that in that particular category, it takes nearly 40 years for someone to do it again. And that's Denzel Washington in 2001 for Training Day. What the fuck, It's no secret that our country and a lot of its existing, organizations and companies are indeed very racist and prejudiced and are just unwilling to be fair. And with that, there's a huge conversation that could be had about, not being enough resources for certain people, certain races in our country. And of course that would involve, the industry that we love to talk about, movies. Not enough opportunities for people who want to do this kind of stuff. And so it shows with the Oscars, it shows with their different categories. We're approaching the 94th Academy Awards next month. It's crazy how close it is now. If you're listening to this, we're only 2 days away from the nominations being announced, February 8th. That it's rapidly approaching. And there's only 20 there's four, obviously the four categories for performing: actor, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress. So there's four winners every year, right? So 4 times 93, almost 400 people, right, that have won, or they've played a character that has won an Oscar. For African Americans, there's only 20 of those statues, and that's always crazy. It's not. We're not discovering anything new here, and I don't want to act like we are. But what I do want to do, instead of just getting on some kind of high horse and being like, "This is stupid," I want to highlight these people that have won. I want to talk about how cool they are and how attached to them that you and I are. You and I have become huge fans of all kinds of performers, and some of these people are very huge for our lives. So I think we should start with the best actor category. Sidney Poitier, 1963, Lilies of the Field. And then, like I said, almost 40 years later, Denzel Washington in Training Day as Alonzo, maybe his greatest performance ever. 2001, Jamie Foxx in Ray, 2004, and then Forrest Whitaker in The Last King of Scotland, 2006. So we haven't seen one in like 15 years, which is crazy thinking about all the great performances, that have happened since then from African Americans. Wow, what a group though of four guys right there that are just outstanding performers. And I know that Forrest Whitaker went against Will Smith for Pursuit of Happiness that year. Jimmy Foxx went against Don Cheadle for Hotel Rwanda. Aside from that, there's not a lot of action, In
93 Oscars, there's 4
yeah
best actors that are African American. That's fucking crazy. I have got to see The Last King of Scotland. I have to sit down and watch that.
You would love that movie.
I know I would love that movie. I've heard he's absolutely lights out incredible. Forrest Whitaker in that. Mm-hmm. Jamie Foxx in Ray is such a fantastic performance. I love that movie.
Yeah, he's awesome. The only thing that sucks about that, which this happens a lot, I can't remember that director's name, but he was one of the guys who signed off for Roman Polanski, right? And there's been so many, like Tarantino and David Lynch, people we adore who just for whatever reason stand by him. I hate when I see that. I'm like, God damn it. You made this product that I like. Why can't you just do that?
Yeah, it's weird the hills some people choose to die on,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, Denzel's best work. I mean, to make that statement, Denzel Washington's best work. I mean, where do you even fucking start? I guess Training Day is a good place to start. That performance is terrifying and just lights out amazing.
Yeah, and totally, Ethan Hawke is good in it, but Denzel is why Training Day is still talked about today.
He's got a chance at taking home another statue with the Tragedy of Macbeth, which would be pretty cool. He's lights out in that.
Yeah, Denzel's an absolute titan when it comes to the Oscars. He's one of the few African American performers who's just gone to lengths that not a lot of people have gone to, period. He has 8 total nominations and 2 wins. That's just very, very rare for someone to get that, to rack up that many. For just like an example would be Jack Nicholson has 3 on 12. Daniel Day-Lewis has 3 on 6. Those are huge numbers for Denzel. 2 on 8 is huge. And of course, his other one we'll be talking about a little bit later.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Good group of dudes. I'd say my favorite of them is definitely Denzel. After that, it's kind of a toss up. I like everybody else so much. But Sidney's the man who kind of broke that gate. For best actress, this is the most depressing one. There's one, and it's Halle Berry, Monsters Ball, 2001. And probably the coolest thing Denzel did was when he got his win for Training Day. It was after Halle Berry had won, and he said, knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, just kind of making fun of the Oscars, like, oh, that's convenient, isn't it? And in fact, that's the same ceremony that they gave Sidney Poitier his honorary award. So it was like, let's just do all this stuff and get it done, and then we can, then we won't have to hear about it, which is so fucked up. I love Halle Berry and Monsters Ball, but there's other stuff that should be in that category.
The lead up to that Oscars, was there like a whole thing of like, oh, the Oscars are so white? Did that happen again in 2001?
Yeah,
it happened.
it happens like every 10 years because it's true, you know.
Just once, I'd like them to be progressive for the right reasons.
Yeah, I do think we'll talk about this a little later. There is occasionally within a one category, you'll be like, wow, they're like, they really tried to just look at what was the best. And from a, fair standpoint, neutral standpoint. And that does happen more in the supporting categories.
That's true. I have not seen Monsters Ball. I've got to watch that too.
That one I put up pretty high on your list just because that's really cool to see her, right? She's amazing in that movie. And you also see Heath Ledger playing Billy Bob Thornton's son, and they're both cops. And that's just like a fascinating thing that happened. That actually happened, and it's really, really, really bizarre that, Heath Ledger just obviously a few years later, he's in movies like Brokeback Mountain and Dark Knight, and then passed away. It's not with us anymore. So I think that's a really important one for you as a fan,
Yeah. Well, that, and I also am trying to prioritize classics and performance winners because I want to cross them off my own personal list. Monsters Ball is on there.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would love to cover it on the show at some point. So maybe we can just kind of go ahead and do that sometime soon. It's a good movie. I've owned it for quite some time. Here's a fun list of dudes. So the best supporting actor, there's a total of 8 wins, but only 7 winners because Mahershala Ali is a absolute badass and has 2. First was Louis Gossett, An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982. Have not seen that movie. I got to see that. That's just one that's always been kind of in the back of my head.
Yeah, I know about that one. I haven't seen it either. I know the song, Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong. That's about all I got for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And then you have 1989, Denzel Washington for Glory. That is his second. That's his first statue in his second win that we've talked about tonight. You got Cuba Gooding Jr. for Jerry Maguire, 1996, one of the greatest acceptance speeches of all time. You have Morgan Freeman and $1 Million Baby, 2004. That's a guy who has, I think, 5 total nominations in acting categories. Then you jump all the way to 2016, Mahershala Ali, Moonlight, 2018, Green Book. And then finally, last year, one of the coolest wins of the whole ceremony, Daniel Kaluuya wins for Judas and the Black Messiah. Could have been argued that he should have been a lead actor. And in that case, I would have said he should have won either way.
Yeah, I have not stopped thinking about his performance as Fred Hampton. It is lights. It's not even a performance. He became Fred Hampton. I do think he got shafted for not being in the lead actor category. I don't really know why he wasn't. It's his movie. But it's a very deserved win, and I am glad he got it at such a young age. To have an Oscar right out the gate like that. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah. And I was alluding to this earlier. This is a really cool category because you have Daniel Kaluuya, Leslie Odom Jr., and Lakeith Stanfield all going against each other. And that felt right. It didn't feel gimmicky. It felt right. They were all really, really good. I really wish Kaluuya would have been in the lead so he could have won and Lakeith could have won for supporting, because Lakeith Stanfield was fucking just he just does different kinds of stuff with his performances, and very unique, a kind of unforgettable performer. I think he's going to be around for a long time when it comes to being nominated for awards.
I'm really hoping that The Harder They Fall makes a splash at the Oscars this year. It was one of my favorites of the year, and I hope I hope more people felt the way I did.
Yeah, I certainly liked it too. I would love to see that movie. Thought Jonathan Majors was incredible in that movie. Awesome ensemble cast. Of course, Regina King was great. Lakeith he's just so unique. Mahershala Ali is my guy, right? I've talked about him many times on Oscar Sunday. Love that dude to death. His performances One and Moonlight just stirs me, moves me in a really, really, really impactful way every time I watch that film. And it's not really, due to him having a ton of dialogue or anything. It's just the way he looks, the way he's just acting his ass off in that movie. Love him. I'm not a huge $1 Million Baby fan, but I get that one. Morgan Freeman's really good. Cuba Gooding Jr. just kind of a once in a lifetime kind of win. It's just like the right role for him at the right time in his career, and it just worked out. And yeah, Denzel, nothing more needs to be said about that guy. He's a legend.
I honestly always forget that Cuba Gooding Jr. has an Oscar because he just does not seem like the kind of guy who would have one. But then again, I have not sat down and watched Jerry Maguire. So I just don't get it yet.
Yeah, it's a decent movie. He's great. He's just putting it all out there. It's kind of like Marissa Tomei having an Oscar. It's like, wait, what? Really? Is that true now? Yeah. But his speech is so good. He's jumping up and down, losing his mind. He was so excited, and I love that. I love when an artist or athlete or whatever it is can put their walls down and just realize, I'm happy to be here right now doing this and being recognized for it.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, if I ever won an Oscar, I am not going to be cool about it.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, I'm not going to pull like a Brad Pitt and be like, this is for my kids. You color in everything I do. I'm going to be like, fuck yeah.
Oh my God. Like, am I here right now?
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to say anything super incredible like Joaquin did when he won for Joker and was just talking about, the environment and stuff like that. I'll just lose my mind. Yeah, it's awesome. Here's a cool group of ladies, supporting actress, and of course Hattie McDaniel, who's the person who really opened the door. 1939, Gone with the Wind. She's the first African American human to win an Oscar, and that was in the early stages of the Oscars. As like the 12th or 13th Academy Awards, so that's pretty early on. But you see that. You don't see another person win until Sidney in 1963. So there's just these huge gaps that happen where it's like, here you go. And it just doesn't feel right. It's like you're just kind of doing it for the hell of it and not really doing it for the right reasons.
If I recall, Hattie McDaniel wasn't even allowed in the theater.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That kind of overpowers the significance of the win, in my opinion. Like, well, I think a greater victory would be maybe letting her accept the fucking award.
Yeah, pretty fucked up. Obviously, we will do that movie on this show one day. I just don't know how or when. It's such a monstrous film that has so much around it, and then of course the film itself is just got a lot going against it and a lot going for it. So I can't wait to do it, but I know it's going to take a lot of willpower for both of us to just kind of muster up all we can to give a good episode on Gone with the Wind. And that, of course, we'll be talking about that for sure. Fast forward fucking 50 years to 1990, Whoopi Goldberg wins for Ghost. And then Jennifer Hudson, 2006 for Dreamgirls. That's she was 25 years old. It was her debut. And I think she has a chance at making some noise this upcoming Oscars. We'll see. I think that movie came out probably at the wrong time. Her playing Aretha, but she's amazing. And she actually does all that stuff. She sings, she can dance, she can move. She's an incredible actress. So I really have high hopes for her and her future. Monique for Precious in 2009. Just a devastating film and great stuff from her. Octavia Spencer in The Help, 2011. Octavia has become this jack of all trades. I can do anything on the screen. I can play some weird villain in a horror movie. I can be in a sci-fi movie. I can be a mathematician in Hidden Figures. I can be in The Help. I can, kind of do anything. So I've really come to appreciate her and what she's done, although I don't love The Help.
I did like The Help, but then again, I have realized in the past few years that I struggle to identify white savior movies. I tend to get sucked into the narrative, which is something I have to work on.
It starts with who made this.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I've gone back and read about movies that what other people are saying, or black people who watch the movie and they're like, fuck this. Like, wait, why? And then you just realize, oh yeah, I am white and I'm not I'm not in the same shoes as them, from appearance. And that's like part of my favorite thing about movies is kind of reevaluating stuff and re-examining and listening to different perspectives.
As a, fairly white guy, I identify as Hispanic, but I look fucking clear, so I get it. As an apparent white guy, I don't understand it, and I don't identify with it, and that's something I will never understand. So I don't see, I struggle to see the difference between a disingenuous movie and a genuine movie, and I am learning. But I think that's something a lot of us gringos got to figure out.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. If the movie's intended to teach some sort of lesson, and you just take it away and run with it, like what's the point? If you can't go back and maybe hear someone else's opinion about it, that's like what it's all about. It's like is receiving art and kind of dealing with it as an audience together. And I love that. I love hearing other people kind of bash things that I like, even if it's not race related. And I just kind of like, oh, that's how you see it. That's really interesting. And you might be right. Or hearing it the other way around, where someone, you both love something and you hear them talk about it, and you're like, I love it even more now. There's like this kind of ever-changing thing that's going on with receiving art. And of course, for you and I, it's mostly movies. And I'm always changing my mind about movies or reinforcing my mind about movies. And I love that. One movie that does not need reinforcement from me is 12 Years a Slave. Lupita Nyong'o won in 2013. I didn't know who she was, and I saw that movie in theaters and I was like, who the fuck is that? She is handling everything. Like, it's unbelievable what she's doing. She's putting on a clinic with Michael Fassbender in this movie. And Steve McQueen. After that, I was like, I gotta know who this guy is. That is just an incredible performance from everyone in that movie, and it's a must see. I have no problem with that one winning Best Picture, and definitely giving Lupita Nyong'o her first win of hopefully many. Viola Davis for Fences, 2016. Jesus Christ, we don't deserve Viola Davis as society. She is unreal. That category is really cool because you have Viola Davis getting the win. Octavia Spencer was nominated for Hidden Figures, and then Naomi Harris, the Queen herself, was nominated for Moonlight. Really cool category. All three of them, like, well deserved, for all the praise they get. But Viola, Jesus, she doesn't need much time. I every time I think of Viola Davis, I think of what she does in Doubt. It's like 4 minutes, and she just takes your entire soul, and I can't thank her enough for like how much amazing moments she's given me in movies and TV.
Yeah. Seeing Fences for the first time was an experience. Watching Denzel and Viola just act circles around each other the whole time. And you get sucked into this story because of their vibrant depiction of these characters, and you just feel for her. I mean, having to watch her husband sleep around, father somebody else's child, and then just not act like it's a big deal. You fucking hate Denzel in that movie. He's such a bastard. And she has to deal with it, and she has to keep it together. And I just love when she's finally like, I've had enough, and has her big moment. It's, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why she won. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh man, she's crazy good in that movie. Well worth. If you haven't seen Fences, check it out. It's so crazy how good those two are. And then finally, the last person we're going to talk about is maybe my favorite person on this entire fucking page that I have is Regina King, winning for If Beale Street Could Talk in 2018. Oh, Regina. This is my gal. This is my favorite, possibly favorite actress of all time. I think she's capable of doing many things, and it's very cool to see that she got to direct a movie last year. Have her debut One Night in Miami, or I guess that was last year, at the beginning of last year. I can't even fucking remember when. The 2020 releases were so odd the way they were kind of like handed out. But needless to say, it's in the Criterion Collection now. She was nominated. She recently had a devastating moment in her personal life where her son passed away. I believe he was 25 or 26. It fucking sucks, and I hope she's able to, rally and do whatever she needs to do to kind of like mourn properly and take the time that she needs to kind of come back and still give people this just pure joy that she gives when she's on the screen, and this ridiculous ability to kind of match and meet people halfway wherever they're at on the screen. She's so fucking good. From the first time I saw her was probably Friday, all the way to stuff like Beale Street. Just I adore her so much, and I'm so glad she won. We got to do that movie on this show, like, I don't know, episode 20 something. It was earlier on, and it was just a blast to talk about. Of course, Barry Jenkins, Regina, Brian Tyree Henry, all those. Coleman Domingo, who's awesome in that movie too. Just, it was really cool to do that. Talk about her at length. She's amazing.
Yeah, man. Whenever I'm watching a movie and Regina King happens to be there, she makes me think of you now.
Yeah, good.
I loved her in The Harder They Fall. She was just such an evil, conniving bitch in that movie, but just perfect. That movie was so badass. She's fantastic, and she definitely deserved the win for Beale Street.
Yeah, God, what a performance! When she goes to Puerto Rico in that movie, and trying to convince the lady. I'll stay away from saying exactly why in case people haven't seen it. Just incredible stuff. Just put on a little show right there. That's all we got, man. That's it. It's 18 total people. Denzel and Mahershala Ali both have 2, so 20 total gold statues. And again, that's out of nearly 400. It's those kind of things that if that doesn't kind of like wake you up a bit and kind of like, whoa, what the hell, or kind of raise your eyebrow, I don't know what to tell you. These kinds of things happen all the time in our country, and it's better to point them out and kind of confront them while also still adoring the people that are involved, like these actors and actresses. It's better to do that than just kind of be like, oh, okay, well, at least they got something. That's just not the right attitude to have. So I wanted to go down this list. If there's one performance that you need to see, which one is it?
Of that bunch, it's probably The Last King of Scotland. I think that's the one I'm going to prioritize, because I need to see that movie. I need to see why Forrest Whitaker took that Oscar. I know James McAvoy's in it, and it's about one of the most sadistic, evil dictators who ever lived. So I definitely am going to prioritize that.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, maybe we'll throw that on the schedule for sometime sooner than later. That'd be cool. It's a different one, right? 2006. I think The Departed kind of just outshines everything, because that's like what you remember. Scorsese's big win, right? And I personally, Little Miss Sunshine is the one that kind of stands out for me as a fan. But I think that movie can get lost. Last King of Scotland, and Forrest Whitaker would be a fun guy to kind of highlight and really look at his career, because he's done everything.
Yeah, he's all over the map. And I do like using this show to sometimes, watch, like, spotlight the films that slip through the cracks, the films that are, not the big winners, but were a part of the story. I like to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the coolest avenues we can take with this show. Doing these random ones. Like, I remember when we did Up in the Air, I was like, this just feels cool. This is way different than what we're used to. We're used to highlighting, fucking last week we did John Huston. It's just a way different alley. But within the same kind of rules of the show, is that if there's that one nomination, it's fair game. There are some things that I wish we could do on this show. There's always gonna be those movies that I wish could pop up here. I think some of the best Black filmmakers that I've kind of found on my own, discovered for myself is like Robert Townsend. I love him. I love Marlon Riggs, Melvin Van Peebles, who passed away not that long ago. Gordon Parks is fucking phenomenal. There's some guys that I wish we could talk about on the show, but we just kind of can't. And that's unfortunate. There's only 6 African Americans have been nominated for Best Director, and they're all kind of titans. They're like Spike Lee and Steve McQueen and Jordan Peele, John Singleton. These guys that I think we pretty much have talked about all those guys, and it just kind of ends there, and it's frustrating because there's so much more out there. There's so much to experience for yourself, and I wish we could kind of bring that to this show, but that's what Filmgazm's for. That's what for our other avenues of talking about stuff. Doing reviews on the site, doing articles. We can always shout them out there, and I wish we could give words out to some of these movies.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's tough to have, such a kind of strict criteria for this show, but it has to be that way. Otherwise, like, where does it end?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Is if there is my favorite thing about it is there is like a context, a built-in context. And if you don't have that, then you don't have these conversations. You don't have, well, then why are you doing Shares of the Sierra Madre and When Harry Met Sally and The Master all within the same month? Well, it's like, because of this context, they all have some kind of Oscar nomination or some kind of Oscar win. And that's just how it's going to be. So I hope in the future, the Oscars, as the membership grows, as the board grows, and there are more women, there are more people of color on the board voting and giving their 2 cents. I hope it grows into something that we can all like truly appreciate and love.
Yeah, me too. It's all about inclusion. It's all about being better and wanting to be better. That's a big part of it. Not just society tells me I got to start thinking this way. You should want to think this way. You should want to be a better person in all aspects of your life. Yeah.
I just saw not that long ago my guy Coleman Domingo, who's just a freak of nature on the screen. He's amazing. I won't talk about him all day, but he put up a post on Twitter and Instagram where he was sending in his votes because he's voting for the Oscars. And he basically was saying it's important to kind of change what be the change that you want to see. That kind of classic saying of, hey, if you want to complain about it, that's fine. But if you want to see actual growth and see actual change, then fucking do it yourself, fucking do it, step up and do it. And so he was saying, hey, we want to look more at people of color and performances that they've given in, direction that they've given in, different screenplays. Let's actually do it. Let's stop talking about it and complaining about it. Let's make it happen.
Well, film, like every other aspect of history, is a multi-layered story with millions of different kinds of voices. And for too long, it's been, white, like the white voice has been dominating history. I'm learning all about this in my grad studies. People of color and women are getting to, we're discovering their stories in history and repainting the American experience to represent everybody. And it's not what we learned in schools. It's what we're having to relearn. And I think, applying those lessons to film is equally important.
Well said. I love that. That's really cool that you're kind of in the middle of hearing about that, learning about that, and kind of applying it to your own life. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like you said, be the change.
Yeah. If you want to learn something, fucking learn. You want to run fast, run faster. That's my track coach used to tell me that in high school. He'd say, hey, Austin, you want to run fast? And I'd be like, yeah, I do. He'd be like, then run faster, buddy. Okay.
That's
all right.
That's kind of like stupid and brilliant at the same time.
It was because I would think of his voice, Coach Jack. I would think of his voice every time I'd be out there, and I'd be like, well, he's right. I mean, it is that simple, and he knew what he was doing. He knew he's this 65-year-old guy. I would just hear his voice run faster, run faster, run faster. It's the simple things that get you through. Really cool, man. I love talking about this stuff with you. Think it's important. Think it's important not to shy away, and I think we're on the same page with that. It's always fun to talk about actors, especially, and just kind of dive into list of people. I love what we haven't done like a bracket in a long time, but I love doing those with you. I love doing these different kind of they're kind of, I don't even know what you would call them, but just these like little projects that we do on Oscar Sunday towards the beginning of this show. It's really fun. But I do want to talk about, Lilies of the Field and some different people that are involved with this movie. And of course, we're going to look at the 36th Academy Awards here in a little bit. Sidney, we've talked about him. We're going to talk about him more as the show goes along. But James Poe, who wrote the screenplay for Lilies of the Field, has a nice little resume here. Pretty random. Won the Oscar for Best Screenplay, Adapted Screenplay, Around the World in 80 Days, 1956. Then was nominated 3 times after that. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1958. Lilies of the Field, 1963. And They Shoot Horses, Don't They, 1969. All these movies have been brought up at some point on this show.
He wrote Around the World in 80 Days and won an Oscar for it. That's one of those random Best Picture winners you kind of forget about.
For sure. The 50s, they have a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's a cool resume.
Yeah. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I just kind of never put that together.
That's one that I know. Like, have you seen that?
Yeah. I mean, that's got my boy in it. Yeah.
I gotta watch this. I've seen enough Paul Newman to get by, but not enough to consider myself an expert, and that's wrong. So I gotta get on the Paul Newman train.
It can certainly happen through this show. You just never know what kind of stuff you're gonna see, because he's amazing. I just was on the phone. For those of you who don't maybe listen to us all the time, I live in San Antonio, and Connor's not very much further in San Marcos. We here, especially in South Texas, when the winter gets a little bit tiny bit harsh, everyone freaks out and acts like it's the end of the world. I'm not going to blame everybody, because last year we actually did have a week there where a lot of people lost power, a lot of people lost water, because our state is not prepared for a proper winter. So when it does happen, sometimes things go bad. But yesterday, we're recording this on a Friday night. So yesterday, Thursday, February 3rd, it was the coldest day, where there was some ice and a lot of places closed. A lot of our grocery stores closed at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So I took the time to, I called my older brother, who lives in Minnesota, and he was making fun of me like, haha, it's 8 degrees here, bitch. And he lives in St. Paul, they're just used to it. But he watched The Hustler for the first time.
Wow.
And he was like, wow, I get it. he's like, what's cool about that? Aside from Paul Newman, is that movie just kind of doesn't treat you like an idiot. It's nuanced. It's got this power behind it where you're not going to get every little explanation. Sometimes they're playing a certain kind of billiards that you don't even understand. Like, why are there only 2 balls on the table? They don't explain it to you though. They just keep fucking playing. You got to catch on. You're either in or you're out. You're either cool or you're not cool, And I loved hearing someone talk about The Hustler, seeing it for the first time. It was really cool. And he asked me about Paul Newman, and I was like, I haven't seen quite enough. I've seen 5 or 6, big performances, but I haven't dug into it enough. So we can fix that for both of us.
Fuck yeah.
So cool. Yeah. I love talking about those movies. Yeah, just I can't get enough of The Hustler. If you know us, that movie's big and important to us. 1961, and it's always cool to kind of remind yourself that there's always more to watch with someone like Paul Newman or those big monstrous actors. So yeah, we both can do some homework through this show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really have to just carve out some time and finally watch The Sting. I need to do that soon. I know.
Yeah. I can't get enough of The Sting either. I love that movie. Yeah, go ahead and watch that because we won't do that. We'll probably do that like next year or something for a showdown because it'll be hitting its 50th anniversary next year.
Okay.
I know, I know there's a movie called The Godfather from 1972 that will probably come up at some point this year because it's its 50th anniversary, most likely. It's just I would love to continue that trend because last year, like in November or December, we did French Connection, and I would like to continue that trend because the 70s are just filled with the gold, right? And it'd be cool to just kind of do that like once a year, do the 70s Best Picture winner. Well, there's a couple of one in particular heavy hitter I want to talk about from Lilies of the Field, and then one other guy. First one, well, the director Ralph Nelson. This is his only nomination. Is just Lilies of the Field, which is kind of amazing. So I looked at that and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Then you got Poe, who's got a few nominations and really cool resume, and then there's Jerry Goldsmith, who who's got a really crazy resume. This is kind of when he was starting out. This is early Jerry Goldsmith, Lilies of the Field. Jesus Christ, this happens to us with these composers, where they just are loaded. And this guy, I'm very excited to get to a few of these. We can talk about them because let's just say he's not allergic to horror like a lot of people are. So this is gonna be fun. First nomination, it's Freud, 1962. 1965, A Patch of Blue. 1966, The Sand Pebbles. 1968, Planet of the Apes. The fuck? 1970, Patton. And then 1973, do you say it Papillon? How do you say that one?
Papillon.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie yet. I'm dying to see it because that's the same director as Patton, right? I believe.
Yeah, that's a Steve McQueen Prison Break movie. I've heard is really good.
yeah, I need to see that. That's right. I need to see that one. Chinatown, 1974, decent flick. The Wind and the Lion, 1975. Here we go. Let's stop for a second. Nominated for Best Original Song and winner for Best Original Score, The Omen, 1976. Come fucking on.
That's fucking beautiful. I want to do The Omen on this show.
We will.
Like this year. I want to redo The Omen. It's in that early days of Filmgazm when we were still figuring shit out. It's time to go back to The Omen, and I love that it's got these two nominations, so we can. Thank you, Jerry Goldsmith, and I love that a song that literally translates to Hail Satan was nominated at the Oscars.
Yeah. An unbelievable movie. 1976 is one of the coolest ceremonies. You got, Rocky, of course, the winner, Taxi Driver, Carrie, The Omen. These movies fucking ruled. 1976 is an awesome year for film. I would love to do The Omen because I think we both probably would put it in the Best Picture category if it was our world. It's just a knockout, almost 10 out of 10 movie.
It's one of the creepiest movies of all time, and you don't even see anything. It's all implication and just people telling you about what's really going on. So smart.
Less is more, my friend. Yes. We'll get to some horror here in a second again. The Boys from Brazil, 1978, nominated. Star Trek, 1979, nominated. And Poltergeist, 1982, nominated. So cool. I would love to do that movie on this show too.
That's fucking awesome. That would be an Oscar Sunday Josh would be on.
You really think so? No way. No way.
He is so. We did a whole thing recently on Filmgazm about like a letter from Steven Spielberg that proved Tobe Hooper directed the movie. Like, so that shit has not gone away. It's like an ongoing theme in our fucking catalog, like who directed Poltergeist.
Yeah, and like you and I are at the point where like, yeah, we don't care. We're just fucking with you. And he's like, oh, I will go to the grave proving this. That's so awesome. I love that. Yeah, that movie deserves all kinds of attention, and I think it would be really cool if we did it over here. Under Fire, 1983, nominated. Hoosiers, 1986, nominated. Basic Instinct, 1992, nominated. LA Confidential, wildly underrated movie, awesome stuff. 1997, yeah, nominated. And the last one is Mulan, 1998, nominated. What a, I mean, to go from, we were just talking about the Omen, and we finished off with Mulan. Just look at this guy's fucking range and what he's able to put in. Patton, this monstrous epic war film that won Best Picture, Chinatown, maybe the greatest fucking movie ever made. The Omen and Poltergeist, Star Trek, Hoosiers, the shit basketball movie with Gene Hackman, LA Confidential, and Mulan. This is a crazy, crazy resume.
Yeah, and that's just his Oscar nominated stuff.
That's he's got
surface. 256 credits as a composer, and one of his last ones before his death was The Mummy, 1999, one of my favorite scores of all time. Jerry Goldsmith was a fucking rock star. He was one of the best.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like you just mentioned, he passed away in 2004. He was 75 years old. Oh man, this dude like straight up kicked ass and means a whole lot. He's one of those big names. Well, I don't know. Where do you think he kind of ranks amongst composers when you talk about the John Williams and the Hans Zimmers, where do you think he's at? What tier?
He's up there. He's up there in the high tiers. Jerry Goldsmith is a legend. The fact that he's not with us right now, I think, gets eclipsed. I think that, but his work speaks for itself. I mean, the fact that he knocked out, the Omen, the Star Trek theme alone, he established that is the Star Trek theme that became the Next Generation theme, and that became the Star Trek music everyone kind of associates Star Trek with. So, I mean, that's huge. Gremlins, fucking Rambo, The Burbs.
Yeah. The Burbs.
He did everything. And like you said, he wasn't allergic to horror. He stepped up. So I definitely rank him amongst some of the greats.
Yeah, no, I think when you straight up resume, when you just stack him up, he is in the top tier. He's one of the greatest composers of all time. I just wish he was more talked about. We've done that. We've had this happen before, where guys are probably just not probably, they are just as prolific, but they aren't John Williams. They don't have that just. But then you look at John Williams and you're like, he's contributed so much to American culture. Just this freak of nature who just had an ability to do multiple franchises, and you kind of understand it. But damn, Jerry Goldsmith, hats off to you, man. Rest in peace. That guy was a fucking stud. Last guy I want to talk about from Lilies of the Field is the cinematographer Ernest Holler. This man, while nominated for Lilies of the Field, had a handful before that movie even came out. So we'll start with 1938, Jezebel. He was nominated. And then a year later for Gone with the Wind, he got the win for Best Cinematography. That's obviously a movie that we've brought up on this show. And again, one day we'll do it. One day we'll tackle it. I just don't know when. I can't guarantee a fucking time frame. All This in Heaven 2, 1940, nominated. Mildred Pierce, 1945, nominated. The Flame and the Arrow, 1950, nominated. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962, nominated. And then Lilies of the Field is the last nomination, 1963. So this guy did, he's got a couple nominations for color, and then the rest are black and white. So, he could kind of do everything with a camera. And you go from Gone with the Wind to a film like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which was a complete game changer. You got to respect it.
Yeah, totally. Cinematographer is a gig that you can really see. I think of the Oscar nominees, like the nominations, the categories over the years, I think cinematography is what changes the most, because you get to see the evolution of what we consider to be traditional filmmaking and just how that becomes more, outrageous and more experimental over the years. So I think these guys are immensely talented, and I think awfully restricted by the abilities of their, of the camera at the time of their careers. And I would just love to see, have, given free reign, what would these guys in the 50s and the 60s be able to do with a camera now?
Oh, geez. Yeah. I think about that. I think about if Alfred Hitchcock were alive, like that guy was already doing things that we have a hard time matching now, like 70 years later. I there's things that are happening in Psycho that, filmmakers just can't even fathom, wrapping their head around and actually doing. And I love stuff like that. I love the eye, the gift that some people have where they kind of transcend time. And I think with Lilies of the Field, and we'll give out awards here soon, but before we do that, like Lilies of the Field, I think is a good film, but there are things that are holding it back, which could be some of the technique, could be some of the screenplay being kind of like, okay, I'm not really learning anything crazy here. This is pretty normal. This is pretty kind of like, it's kind of basic, it's kind of basic teachings. If you're a child, maybe there's things in here that you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But as as someone who watches a lot of stuff, you're not blown away by what the film is doing or telling you about religion or race or those things. It's not really blowing you away. And I think you and I have found that that's not just because it's old. There are old movies that totally break you and make you realize, like, wow, writing has been good for a long fucking time. Just last week when we did Treasure of the Sierra Madre, we were like, this movie's timeless because of those things. The technique is great. The screenplay is amazing. It's kind of out there. It's gritty. And it's still influencing things today. I don't see something like Lilies of the Field influencing what's happening now. What I took out of Lilies of the Field was, here's Sidney doing his thing at work. Without him, I don't know where African-American actors would be. That's mainly what I was thinking about when watching the movie, and mainly what I took away from it. I was just kind of doing research about him. But there are those films from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that totally transcend time and show you that there's been talent forever. There's always been talent. They maybe just didn't have the right tools. And I love that we both kind of see that, especially with cinematography specifically. Directing and cinematography, these things go hand in hand. And they're so important. They're so important to how we kind of carry a film with us. And if we want to rewatch it, own it, study it, those things are hugely important.
Well, I mean, just look at like early cinema. Look at let's take something we've done in the past, like Angels with Dirty Faces. I know that keeps coming up lately, but Candy's been on my mind. I don't know why, but that film, filming it pretty by the numbers. You point your camera, actors act in front of it. You look at a film like 1917, and what we're able to do with cinematography now is unreal. I mean, it's barely the same industry. It's not even the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like acting hasn't changed that much, directing hasn't changed that much, but filming has morphed into a completely different animal. And I wish some of those guys were here to see that.
Yeah, and play with those toys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, imagine if certain directors had what David Fincher can do, just go totally digital and just be able to just edit the fucking shit out of everything you do, that's one of the coolest things about it, right? Is that not only can you see someone's distinct voice or what they're trying to get across to you as the audience, you can tell like what they believe in with filmmaking. You can tell what Fincher believes in, and he does not believe in film. You can tell when you're watching a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, you can tell what he believes in. When you're watching Spike Lee, you can tell what he believes in as a filmmaker. That's like so fucking cool, as you start to learn names and start to learn what these guys like are capable of and what their tricks are. You start to kind of put the pieces together and realize like these guys are people who fell in love just like we did, and that's the best.
Yeah, it's so neat to kind of just see film as one giant entity that's constantly evolving and spinning off into all sorts of different things, and to just appreciate all aspects of it. Really, I think has rounded me into a better human being, I think.
Oh, I don't know where I'd be without it, because I'm not I'm very much someone who likes to learn at his own pace and likes to take things not take things slow, but if I want to stay somewhere for a while, I want to stay somewhere for a while. Yeah. If I want to, and with film, I can do that. If I want to watch 5 Francois Truffaut movies in a row, I'm going to fucking do that. if I want to go over here and watch a Mike Nichols, Nora Ephron written movie like Silkwood, I'll fucking do that, which finally watched it. Really good. Really good. We talked about that way back on When Harry Met Sally at the beginning of January, and finally got to see it. It's really cool. I like doing that, and when you're someone who's being taught by someone who has an agenda, I don't do well in that's why I dropped out of high school. I went to one semester of college. I couldn't handle it mentally. I had a hard time sitting down in a chair and being like, okay, this is what this guy or this curriculum or this place wants to kind of tell me. I never really took it upon myself to say, hey, this is exactly what I want to learn. I'm kind of off the wall all the time. And that's great for me because I love movies. I love learning from documentaries and movies and reading about movies. That's kind of my way of, kind of bettering myself and figuring out what kind of works for me and what's the best way for me to consume stuff without it all being useless. That I can actually learn about society from these things, and that's really powerful.
Yeah, I think of I'm pretty sure this was from Starship Troopers. Figuring things out for yourself is the only freedom anyone really has.
Yeah, straight up, man. Good quote. That's a good quote. I love it. Oh man, this is cool. Let's look briefly at the 36th Academy Awards. I know we don't have a shit ton to say about this ceremony, but we'll look briefly. There's 5 nominations altogether, 5 categories we'll look at. We'll start with cinematography.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, that's where Mr. Ernest Holler took his place. You want to take it away?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Best cinematography, black and white. We have The Balcony, George J. Folsey. The Caretakers, Lucien Ballard. Lilies of the Field, Ernest Haller. Love with the Proper Stranger, Milton Krasner. And the winner, HUD, James Wong Howe. I got nothing to say. I haven't seen these 4 films.
I've seen HUD. That's Mr. Paul Newman. But that's all I got. And I'm not going to say, yeah, HUD deserves it way over Lilies of the Field. I think when you've only seen 2, you just got to kind of wait till you see the other stuff.
Yeah, same. Best adapted screenplay. We have Captain Newman, M.D. by Richard L. Breen, Phoebe Ephron, and Henry Ephron. HUD by Irving Ravetch and Harriet Frank Jr. Lilies of the Field by James Poe. Sundays and Sybil by Antoine Toutle and Serge Bourgeon. I have no clue. Yeah, he's French, of course. And the winner, Tom Jones by John Osborne. There's an easy name to say. I haven't seen Tom Jones, but I do own it. And I've heard it's I haven't actually heard anything about that movie. I don't know what it's about.
Neither have I. I've heard no one ever talk about in person, ever heard anybody talk about Tom Jones. It's a winner. It's really crazy. Sunday, that's a movie I just bought on Criterion, maybe not just bought, but like a year ago. I own that movie, so I would love to talk about that one day on this show. Another French film that could open the doors for you, my friend.
Well, you never know. Yeah, cool. I know Tom Jones is considered Albert Finney's like definitive performance of his career. So there's that. So maybe it's worth checking out.
I also want to see real bad. It's in the other screenplay category. Directly, basically original screenplay. America. That's a movie I've always wanted to check out, and it also in that category is 8.5, which is a film Connor fucking loves.
Screenplay, my ass. Are you kidding me? The most incoherent movie I've ever watched.
That would be a list. I like that. Top 10 most incoherent fucking movies of all time.
I feel like you would just be consistently disappointed by my choices.
Well, here's what would happen is the list of movies that I would come up with would be movies I love. The movies that you come up with would be like, this is what happened. It'd be all movies that are like 8s, 9s, and 10s for me. And For you, 4 and 5.
At least,
that's like,
at least I'm consistent.
yeah. That's the key difference in us as fans of this medium is definitely that rambling fucking like nonsensical Terrence Malick, David Lynch, Fellini type shit. You just don't like, and I'm just one of those. I'm one of those fuckers who just likes it and is just a sucker.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I need a story, or you're not gonna catch me.
Yeah, and I'm not ever gonna willingly, we're not ever gonna do the Tree of Life on this show. That just wouldn't be fun. You'd have a horrible time. I hope you rewatch it in your own time one day and just be like, oh, maybe I like it a little more than I thought. But I don't think it's happening. And so, with that being said, I don't think we're ever gonna do 8.5. But I really like that movie. I think it's a lot of fun. Maybe isn't Fellini one of Josh's guys?
I think so. Maybe. I mean, if he wants to, maybe, one of your brothers wants to do some Fellini. I don't know. Just
they don't know shit about him. Yeah.
Cut me out of that one. I don't.
How about just me?
just you. That would be interesting. I'd be interested to see how that goes.
That would be awesome. It would be like watching 8.5. It'd be like, what is this guy talking about?
I think that'd be kind of brilliant if the podcast for 8.5 makes just as little sense as the movie itself. It's just you talking to like a mirror.
Yeah. I also want to do an episode on Inherent Vice, just me, where like I just take a bunch of drugs and I just go on and on about Inherent Vice for a couple hours and just see what happens.
I'm just picturing you emailing me like a 6-hour episode that like doesn't even like half of it you're not even speaking into the microphone.
Yeah. I send it to you the next day after I've taken all the drugs and done the episode, and I say might need some editing. Just by the way, yeah. There's a few times where I'm just eating a bag of chips, talking about how much I love Owen Wilson. God damn it! That's what would happen though.
Fucking great.
Which one do you want to do next?
Supporting actors.
Yeah.
Supporting actors. We've got Diane Salento for Tom Jones, Edith Evans for Tom Jones, Joyce Redman for Tom Jones, Lilia Scala for Lilies of the Field, and the winner, Margaret Rutherford for the VIPs. I always love it when one movie just dominates an acting category.
You have to see this. Yeah. I actually own the VIPs. I've never seen it. I bought it at Half Price Books. I don't even know, a couple years ago. It's just been sitting on my shelf. I need to check that out. But clearly, Tom Jones is speaking to us right now. 3 women in supporting is just it just doesn't happen. So I'd love to see that. And I think Scala is really good in Lilies of the Field. I thought that was a pretty strong performance going head to head with Sidney.
It was. Her character was insufferable at times when she's just like, I'm not paying you, now help us.
Yeah, you've been sent by God. Yeah.
But Sidney did keep coming back, so it is on him.
Yeah, there is that, right? Where he's not, obviously he wants to like help and be a part of something as part of his character, and like he can't help but do the right thing in situations.
Yeah.
And and get take it or leave it, but he has this place to kind of call home for a second, and has these people to hang out with, and he's eating with them, singing songs with them, teaching them English. So there is something there that's like worth, that's like what is worth living for, is like being a part of something. No. And for a moment there he is, but ultimately you got to be fair to the guy, give him some fucking money.
Yeah. Let's do Best Picture, and since this is a Sidney episode, let's end with Best Actor.
Okay.
All right. So Best Picture, we've got America, Cleopatra, How the West Was Won, Lilies of the Field, and the winner, Tom Jones. There are some girthy epics in that list. God damn.
Yeah. This is the kind of Best Picture showdown that's like, I want to see these movies, but fuck me, it's going to take fucking forever. Well, luckily, Lilies of the Field is only like an hour and a half, and I wouldn't mind rewatching that for a show. But man, American Americas is this big movie. Cleopatra, Tom Jones, and How the West Was Won. I'm just not really a fan of that one. So I want to do it. I want to see what Tom Jones is all about. I want to see Albert Finney. You know, I got to check that out. But it's not something I feel like we're rushing to for that reason. You know, that happens though. You know, when we did 1961, it could have gone to that place, but The Hustler's so awesome. And Judgment Nuremberg is worth all 3 hours, you know. But if it was 5 movies like Fanny and Guns of Navarone, I would have been like, shit, you know, fuck. Like, these feel like they're taking forever. I like Guns of Navarone, but I don't know, man. You know what I mean. There's those movies that just take up your whole night.
There's some movies that just don't need to be that long, and I never understand, like, what are they trying to prove here? I mean, you know, look at a movie like, you know, Lilies of the Field is good. It's not amazing, but it is good. It's just as long as it needs to be. Whereas a film like, you know, Fanny is an hour too long for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, something the 60s particularly really dealt with.
What else did we watch? Fast forward to a year later, 1964. I remember we did Dr. Strangelove, and we watched, you know, My Fair Lady. Just for me, too long. Hello, Dolly.
That was 69.
What else is 64? We watched some other 64 shit. I just can't remember.
Mary Poppins.
That one's fun. That one's cute. Yeah. Beckett's not bad. Yeah.
And we skipped Zorba the Greek.
Okay, we probably couldn't find it, or just skipped it because at that time we weren't as committed to the Best Picture. We were like, that doesn't look very good.
Yep.
Now we have to. Now we get that fucking kick in the ass like Fanny. It happens every now and again. It didn't happen in 2007 though.
No,
that showdown was good. Every movie is like worth your time and worth a conversation. So it does happen. But these, you know, and even Lilies of the Field in any given year, I'm just kind of like, that's not really a Best Picture nominee to me in most years.
Yeah.
It's good. Like you said, it's good. I give it an 8. I give it 4 stars on Letterboxd. I like it. But Best Picture is for the best of the best. And it just doesn't really feel like one of those. I feel like there's other movies. There's got to be other movies out there from 63 that surpass it.
I'm choosing to believe that it took a spot away from 8.5, and that makes me happy. But if we're talking 63, I think 100% The Great Escape should be here.
Oh, yeah. Years later, I think the Oscars always look stupid with the decisions like that. You know, you have something right in front of you. You could have, you know, nominated this really kind of timeless movie, and they just didn't. They just screwed the pooch on that one.
Yep, it happens. I mean, I would have loved some love From Russia with Love, but, you know, the Bond franchise has never really gotten that kind of respect from the Academy.
No, which sucks.
Yep. Best Actor. Now, this is a killer group of performers.
Yes.
Albert Finney for Tom Jones, Richard Harris for This Sporting Life, Rex Harrison for Cleopatra, Paul Newman for HUD, and the winner, Sidney Poitier, Lilies of the Field. God damn, way to make your mark. Not just winning an Oscar as the first black man to win Best Actor, but to defeat Albert Finney, Richard Harris, Rex Harrison, and Paul Newman. God damn. Well done, Sidney.
Yeah. This is a killer group. I don't know if people, you know, if you know, obviously Paul Newman, I think, is the most recognizable name, but all 4 of these guys just could act their asses off, could kind of do whatever they wanted. This would be like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paul Newman. You know, this would be like Bradley Cooper, Richard Harris. You know, these are like big monsters, like huge performers, A-listers. But the one that we have to see that we've talked about is Tom Jones, Albert Finney. We both have this kind of strange adoration for him, and it's like, well, we should probably see this one from 60 years ago. It seems like that's the right move, but you know, I want to see them all. I've seen HUD, but the other 2, This Sporting Life and Cleopatra, on my list as well. But Sidney, good performance. I wish she would have been up for stuff later, and mainly In the Heat of the Night. I think he's incredible in that movie. But this is a good performance. It's not amazing, but it's good, solid.
Yeah, and like you pointed out, like this performance winning this Oscar is incredibly necessary to everything that comes after. Without it, I don't want to imagine what we lose.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That you kind of don't know because it did happen. It's like if the Beatles didn't exist. You like I don't want to know what the repercussions are or what happens to music if they're not there. I don't really want to know if Sidney Poitier is not who he is at that time. I don't really want to know what happens afterwards. I don't really want to imagine someone else kind of taking that mantle and being the guy or being the woman. He was the man, and he was the right one to kind of break that. Everything I've read about him, just a fucking awesome dude, and a good example for all people who kind of look up to movie stars, athletes, that kind of thing. So he's the man.
Yep, no arguments here.
Cool, man. Well, let's give some awards out to this thing and get out of here. We got the Tarantino Award for Best Quote or Best Line from the movie. We have the Ennio Morricone Award for Best Music Moment. There's some funny ones. We got the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for Best Performance of the movie. And we have the Roger Deakins Award for Best Scene of the movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman. You and I were texting back and forth on February 2nd. It was his anniversary of his death. That award name is never going to fucking change. I fucking love that guy.
Any one of these, I feel like, could be somebody else. The Tarantino could easily be, the Scorsese or whatever.
There's plenty. Yeah,
could be the Dean Cundy Award. The Morricone could be the John Williams. No one could replace PSH as the definitive actor who represents the very profession, in my opinion.
Yeah, it ain't happening. Yeah, every time I look at him, I get really excited, but also really emotional. And he's the best. Tarantino, what do you got?
I've got two, one profound one and one goofy one. So my goofy one comes from a scene where Mother Superior is mad at Sidney for requesting apt payment. Like, that's not really that fair. But she calls him a Wall Street millionaire, and she just yells at him, "Wall Street," and walks away like he's this hot shot, and he's just like, "Are you kidding me?"
She's completely out of touch with who she's dealing with, and he's like, "You think I'm Wall Street? Just wait till you actually meet someone who's." Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then my other one comes from, I think her name is Maria, the Mother Superior.
Yeah, Mother Maria. Yeah.
She says, "We were not put on this earth to hurry, Schmidt." I like that. I believe in that wholeheartedly. Like, we are not here to, work ourselves to death and just not enjoy it. Like, you need to have enjoyment in life. You need to take things slow. You need to get the most you can out of this existence, because you only get one, most likely.
Yeah. That's always good in a screenplay. It just translates well to a movie. It reminds me of Brooks, his last few lines in Shawshank, when he's like, when I went in there, it was one way, and I got out here, and everybody got in a big damn hurry.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. I love when someone who's got a little bit of seasoning, is kind of a veteran in life, just kind of plainly says, you don't always have to be rushing to the next thing. You're allowed to enjoy point A to point B. Because if you, one of my favorite things I've ever learned as a person is, there was someone who I was working with years ago when I was 17, 18, probably 18. I was working with him in Romania, and I wanted to come home. I want to come back home to Romania, or from Romania. I want to come back to Texas. And he told me, he's like, "Look, when I was in the army," and this is in Romania, this guy has this real thick accent. His name's Tony. He said, "When I was in the army, we knew when we were going to come home. We had an idea of when we were going to come back, from serving." And he's like, we would have these calendars that were next to our beds, right? And we have a marker, and we cross off each day as we went. He's like, if you do that in your real life, you cross days off, what's the point of living? And I was young, you know, and it took me a while to really wrap my head around just kind of like the simplicity, but also complexity of that quote basically from him. And now I think about it every single day of my life. Like it's very, very important, especially you don't know who's watching, you know, and I have a daughter now. You don't know who's paying attention to how you treat just normal things. I love when that's in a movie, even if it's for just a short little line. I love when that kind of is thrown in there, especially from someone like her. You know, she's just kind of this fascinating character who's trying to make you think. And I love that. That's a good pick. I didn't really, I remember hearing that, but I didn't really catch on to it like you did. That's cool that you picked that one. I like that a lot. I like that character a lot.
Reminded me of a quote from The Office, weirdly. It was
fuck yeah,
from Andy, Ed Helms, who said, I wish there was a way to know that you're in the good old days before you've left them. I was like,
ooh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like there's a moment where you realize, oh, that was like, that's not part of my life anymore. Like I've moved on. And you don't realize that till you're like, you need it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think, yeah, I love that. I love that so much. It's so cool. Ed Helms is great in that show. I'm not a huge Office fan, but I'm a huge Nard Dog fan. I love Andy. That's brilliant, really, you know.
Yeah.
The good old days, right? It's like you're never truly present. It's so crazy. Yeah. Woo, getting existential here on Lilies of the Field.
Yeah.
Yeah. my quote is my Tarantino involves two characters. One's Mr. Ashton, kind of the big time guy who lives in the town and runs this big company that has all these tools and these resources. And then it's this maybe my favorite character from the movie is Juan. That guy's fucking great. It's between them two, and they're at the site where the chapel is being built. And Mr. Ashton realizes like, wow, they're like really doing this, you know, and they've just got all this material. And so he says, say, where'd you get all the material? And Juan says, the people give them, senor. Mr. Ashton, what for? Back to Juan. A man, he gives wood, bricks. In time, what does he get? A chapel, a place where his children can receive the sacraments. To these men, for their children to have faith, it is very important. Mr. Ashton, is that why you're here? Juan, to me, it's insurance. To me, life is here on this earth. I cannot see further, so I cannot believe further. But if they are right about the hereafter, I have paid my insurance, senor. Oh man, that's such a. I was like fucking blown away by that dialogue because I relate to Juan in the sense that you're very aware of like how important this is to people. And how it's kind of it is their life, you know. It's what they believe in. It's like kind of what drives them to get up every day. But I've always been. I'm going to start saying it. I can't believe further. You know, I cannot see further, so I can't believe further. I love that. I think that's a really cool way of just kind of almost being humble about. I'm here, and I don't know anything. I'm not going to act like I know anything.
Well, I also love the idea that like, but if I'm wrong, then I'm paying my dues here. Like I'm getting my ticket punched right now.
No, he still has the fear of what will happen to him in the afterlife. That's amazing. Like that's still somewhere in his life. He learned about this stuff, and the fear was instilled in him that like, oh, maybe I should, you know, go to church every once in a while just so I can fucking, you know, have that salvation thing they talk about. Yeah. It's a cool bit of dialogue, and then you have Mr. Ashton who's just like, what, like, what's going on here? How did they get this? How do they do this? You know, and he has that underlying, you know, that there's that like sly racism that he has towards Homer, where he's like, can you really operate these machines? You know, and he doesn't properly hire him. He doesn't pay him correctly. And then he's wondering, oh, why are all these people doing this? And it's like, well, it's for a common cause. So they're all on the same page. You would not understand that. You're just a money man.
I mean, we start out meeting this guy. He calls Homer boy.
Exactly.
I mean, right
Boy.
there.
Yeah.
As soon as
yeah.
he says that, we're like, oh, okay, he's an asshole.
Mhm.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
But he does have his redemptive moment where he gives them bricks, the wrong kind. I love that. He's like,
Yeah.
he's paying his insurance, and Juan's like, he knows we're using Adobe, and he brings us bricks, but okay.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, bud. I love that because Juan and Homer are both like super hungover. They're like leaning on the truck, like, oh, this fucking guy. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. There's some decent lines in this movie.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Ennio Morricone, some weird choices here. What do you got?
Got a surprisingly bouncy score, kind of like a like a Saturday morning cartoon almost. It was odd. But I went with the scene where Homer first sings the Amen song with the nuns.
That's what I chose. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so sweet and endearing and bouncy, and they're all happy. And yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, and it's cool that scene takes its time. It's a pretty patient scene. And Sidney, at first, you're kind of like, oh man, he's not got a great singing voice, but then you're like, actually, he kind of does. It's actually kind of fun to listen to. He's actually got something kind of, there's something soulful and kind of country about it. That's just kind of like reels you in. And then the way he kind of teaches all of them, it's just cool. I like that scene a lot. I thought it was awesome because he starts singing one song and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then he's like, okay, hold on. Let me go back to this. And then he, kind of breaks it down and does this kind of old like worship hymn, it's just cool.
Yeah, it fits the scene really well and I like moments where him and the nuns are bonding. I picked a lot of those.
Yeah, very cool. Cause they're all just like, and to clarify, they speak German. That's their first language. And so they've got that kind of funny accent that when they speak in English, the same way we do if we speak German, it's just kind of a little goofy. And I love that about the nuns, when they're trying to talk to him, Schmidt instead of Smith. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, looking for that chapel.
Yeah. So good. I love it. This one's obvious to me. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. Yeah. Sidney. Yeah, it's got to be as Homer. He's awesome. He has the ability, as we've learned, to just kind of carry stuff, even if the direction or writing isn't great every scene. He can help you out. He can carry you for a little bit. He's got that much star power.
He's just so damn cool. Like Sidney in this especially is like, I want to hang out with that guy. Like I want to get a beer with him. Like he's fun.
Yeah, and I wish I could look as cool in a fucking just white t-shirt and like tucked into khakis with like he just pulls it off. It's like fucking James Dean. It's just like, what? How does this guy do this? He just can make anything look awesome. And that's a huge attribute that he had. He could just kind of pull anything off. He's that kind of guy, that kind of cat. He's awesome.
Hell yeah. Some, as Teddy Roosevelt once said, some are born great, others have greatness thrust upon them. Sidney was born great.
Yeah, I agree. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Fuck yeah.
Sidney's a Sandlot.
Pulling out some fucking profound ass quotes today, my friend.
Yeah. Fucking I love that when Babe Ruth visits Benny the Jet Rodriguez. And Benny's like fucking 13 and he's like, whoa. I just lost my mind.
We should throw the Sandlot on Filmgazm soon. I'd love to talk about that movie.
Me too, man. Just very important movie to me. Seen it so many times. I think it legitimately gets better every single time that I watch it.
Yeah, same. I had that on tape as a kid. It was one of my constantly rotating films. It's been a favorite of mine my whole life.
Yeah, straight up. Me too, man. All right, let's get to this last award. I'm loving this. The Roger Deakins Award for Best Scene. What do you got?
I really liked the scene where Homer decides to teach the nuns how to speak English. And
good pick.
Starts telling them, you sit down, I sit down, we stand up, and everyone's like cheery and happy and they're bonding. And it's like, this relationship might work out. It's a very wholesome scene. And I like wholesome scenes because I fully expected this movie to be a racial drama, and it was not at all. So I was surprised in the direction it went, but I liked it.
Yeah, I'll say it. It was pretty refreshing that it wasn't this, because I find that a lot of quote unquote black movies, and this is also coming from living with my fiance is black, and she gets really frustrated when it's always this kind of look at all the pain, look at all just the shit that we've gone through. And it's like, well, why can't we just have a normal movie about a normal person, a character, and it just be a black person, And it took like meeting her to like really recognize that and be like, wow, she's right. Like, why aren't there more rom-coms with black leads? Like why can't there just be more normal movies? It has to be this like fucking tough, gritty, like it has to be this like lesson for white people to learn because they're so fucked up. Like, why can't we just be entertained by black characters? And I actually found it to be Lilies of the Field from fucking 1963 to be kind of refreshing in that, yes, there's some race stuff, that's gonna be there. But for the most part, Homer's just this guy. He's this fucking handyman who happens to come across these people and he helps them out. And it ends up being this cool lesson for the German nuns and him to learn about each other. And that's cool. I came into this episode thinking like, oh shit, man, there's gonna be some stuff maybe like that'll be really tough to talk about, which is not a bad thing, but it's also good to have normal characters, normal movies for people to just appreciate and look up to.
Well, I think it's sad that we both had that preconception about this movie. We both thought another American racial drama that's going to make us sad and guilty, but it's not. And I feel I wish I hadn't had those preconceived notions, because I just, it's just part of our fucking upbringing in this country. Like it's ingrained in our DNA as much as it is everybody else's.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. We both kind of went through that without talking about it. Just kind of watching the movie, finishing it. Oh, okay, and that's always going to be something I want to learn more about. Is kind of just the response that we have to stuff, especially films with African American people either working on it or acting in it, whatever the case is. That this is something that as we've learned, just talking about all these people who have been nominated and won the Oscars. It's just not very normal for black people to be able to see themselves in movies. And that's the most sad thing, and that's the stuff we want to see just fucking end as time goes on,
Yeah. It goes right back to what I was saying about history, rediscovering new voices and new ways to interpret the story. And for a lot of people, it starts in film. It starts in, representation in everyday life. And we need to continue that. We need to keep being on the right side of history, regardless of what all those fucking alt-right assholes are doing. We need to focus on being on the right side.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Well said. This is a really cool episode. Went in some directions I didn't know it was going to go in, but I've had a blast. It's been really cool. Love kind of just going on this random fun journey with you, man. It's good stuff. And next week is going to be even more of like kind of a curveball for you as a viewer. This is something I occasionally like to do on this show, is just kind of fucking throw a knuckleball at Connor. Like, fucking take this, and so we're going to be doing a documentary next week called Undefeated from 2011. It won Best Documentary at the 84th Academy Awards, and it's a good one. It's on Netflix, so it's very, very accessible. And not only is it something that I see as a cool story, cool black story, cool African American story, it is Super Bowl Sunday next week, and this deals with football, deals with football players, and so I think it'll be really cool to kind of put those two things together. And also we're going to be cool to do a documentary again. It's been a while since we've done a documentary, so I'm really excited. I like this one a lot. It fucking rocked me the first time I saw it a few years back, and I think it's going to do the same to you. So I'm super excited.
What was your Deakins? Did you say it?
Oh, mine was the same as you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I thought I said that. Yeah.
I was waiting. I was like, wait a minute. But okay, cool.
Yeah. I think my excitement for you picking it just kind of overshadowed it. Yeah, I picked the same thing. I like that. I love that scene, and I also love the scene where all the workers in one start just helping Homer when he's building. I thought that was a really like well done scene. But yeah, I think the highlight of the movie is those scenes with him and the nuns, and then him like truly trying to take his time to teach them English was really impactful. So yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I am excited. I like, uncharted territory on this show. Definitely. And a football doc is for sure somewhere I've never gone because I could give a shit about football, but I do enjoy documentaries and I trust your judgment. So I'm on board.
Hell yeah, man. Gonna be cool. Gonna be different. Gonna create some cool conversations too. This is what we do. Lilies of the Field, if you're interested, it's on Amazon Prime and Tubi. And if you want to rewatch it, if you've already seen it and you're listening with us, go check it out. It's on a couple different services for free. So why not, right? I watched it through Prime because Tubi has those kind of long ads.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea, but if I have to use it, I will. That's just the way it is. Did you watch it on Prime?
I did because I watch Tubi if it's a last resort because I don't like those ads either, but I also don't like complaining about a free service. So like, yeah.
It's like if you have a fucking console or a Roku or whatever, it's like you just get Tubi for free. So why not? Pretty neat. They actually have a pretty impressive library on there. So if you do want to just check out stuff completely for free and not have to sign up for anything, Tubi is the way to go. Let's see. What else do we have going on? Undefeated's next week on Oscar Sunday. What else is going on with our other shows?
Well, sneak preview is going to be absolutely fucking ridiculous tomorrow because we are doing a full-blown Jackass episode.
Oh, God. So good.
Jackass Forever is the big movie of the week. Certified fresh at fucking 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. I can't believe that.
I believe it. I love the Jackass movies.
I saw this one earlier today, and it is by far the best one. It is so funny, so over the top, ridiculous, everything you'd expect from Jackass, and these fuckers are in their 50s. It's kind of amazing.
Is it? You saw it in theaters?
Yes.
Nice. That's cool. It's not on anything, right? It's just theaters.
Yep, just theaters.
That's cool. Yeah, I might have to check that out. I'm off a couple days during the week. I might have to go check that out because I've always been a huge Jackass fan. I was talking about it with my coworker today. We were just talking about our favorite bits from the old movies. I adore those guys. I've always been enamored by Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, and Chris Pontius. Of course, Ryan Dunn, rest in peace. I love those guys so much. Dave England. I actually prefer the show Wild Boys over Jackass because it's just Steve-O and Chris Pontius. So it's really focused, and they're like fucking with animals and stuff. And I've always thought that show was superior. But God, I love Jackass. I love everything that those guys do.
I had never seen the movies before, and they finally put them back on Paramount Plus. So last night I marathoned all three of them.
Oh, perfect. What a great night.
So yeah, tune in sneak preview tomorrow for just Caleb and I just talking about Jackass the whole time. Caleb has been looking forward to this movie more than I've seen him look forward to anything, which is crazy.
So awesome.
Wednesday, Filmgazm. I'm hosting I'm joining two new guest hosts, one of which we have met before. The other is a newbie doing his first episode. They have chosen the 1977 sci-fi animated film Wizards, which I have never seen and have heard is a fucking trip. So looking forward to that. New Blood, always fun.
Yeah, and Wizards just looks like a crazy movie. I've never seen it either.
Yeah, I've heard I've been told buckle up. So I'm looking forward to it. And then Beyond the Bad, we just did the Island of Dr. Moreau, which was the most insane production we've covered yet. There's a documentary on Shudder called Lost Soul that talks about just everything that they went through trying to make this piece of shit. It's a wild movie. Like the story of the production is crazier than the actual movie. It's way more interesting. So that was fun. So next week we're dialing it back. Well, this week, I guess we're dialing it back with the 2014 found footage horror film, The Pyramid.
Nice.
Which
nice.
Is a found footage film with a fucking score, which has baffled me for years. It's a terrible movie. But you know, that's par for the course. I'm really enjoying doing Beyond the Bad. I'm watching stuff I never would have even considered throwing into my life, and now they're here.
Oh, that's the whole goal, right? Is to constantly be, your palette is always being kind of cleansed and revamped with whole new stuff to talk about. So cool. I love that. It's great. One day I'll have to pop in and do an episode with you guys on Beyond the Bad. Maybe, you know, I'll look at the schedule and maybe there'll be one that sticks out in my mind that I actually kind of like, and I'll be like, wait a minute. You know, because there are those that are out there that we all have those guilty pleasures, right?
Yeah. And that show is partly about defending those guilty pleasures, but also, you know, showing like, yeah, certain movies are shit and they should be just left to die.
Left to die or talked about by Connor and Caleb.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it, man. That's really cool that Shudder has something that you guys could kind of tag team with and use for extra knowledge. It's really cool. It's gonna be a fun week. Gonna be a random week. Nothing better than that, you know. If you're a film fan, you always have something to look forward to with Filmgazm. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. You know, always Filmgazm. Just search that shit. We've got all kinds of stuff coming. Gonna be a lot of fun, man. Hopefully, you guys don't laugh too much on tomorrow's sneak preview for Jackass Forever.
I already know it's gonna hurt.
I love it, man. All right, well, everybody have a good night, have a good week, and keep listening to Filmgazm.